What if your symptoms weren't random? What if the tension in your shoulders, your fatigue, or that lingering brain fog was actually your body speaking to you, asking you to slow down, to listen, and to reconnect? I recently caught up with the incredible naturopath, herbalist, and somatic therapist Lara Ryan to explore what it really means to listen to your body and to live from desire, not from shoulds. We dove into how your beliefs can shape your biology, how stored emotion can become physical symptoms, and why reconnecting with creativity and play may be the most powerful medicine you'll ever give yourself. We talk about everything from do you really need magnesium to emotional release and the science of shaking off stress. Plus, how you can start listening to what your body's been trying to tell you all along. Lara takes a non-biased approach and emphasizes the importance of working with a practitioner who genuinely is curious, because everything in your body is connected. This conversation is about healing, alignment, and the freedom that comes when you truly come home to yourself. Let's tune in. If you've ever felt dismissed, confused, or stuck in the space between symptoms and answers, you're not alone. This is What's My Body Telling Me, with me, Dr. Anthea Todd, the podcast where we believe your body isn't the problem, it's the solution. Together, we'll explore how to understand the messages your body sends through symptoms, how to support yourself through every stage of life, and why functional health, medicine, and energetics are all key to understanding and supporting your body. Here, we let feeling good become the baseline, because life's too short to feel anything but alive. So, are you ready to start listening differently? Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the What's My Body Telling Me podcast. Today we have Lara Ryan joining us. She's a naturopath, a herbalist, a somatic therapist, and an educator. And I first wanted to start with what actually is a herbalist and a naturopath?
Well, that's a good question. What a great way to start. So a herbalist, you can have a herbalist individually, which is a practitioner who will take your case history and your health history and then prescribe medicinal herbs based on what you need for healing at that time. A naturopath usually incorporates about 3 or 4 modalities. So as a naturopath, I've studied herbal medicine, I've studied holistic nutrition, I've studied all the medical sciences, I've studied homeopathy, and believe it or not, I've also done body work because we had to do massage therapy as a modality when I first studied naturopathy. So naturopathy is usually more of an all-encompassing, a bit of a jack of all trades in the natural therapies, whereas a straight-up herbalist will give you just herbs. So that's probably the difference.
Interesting. So that's where some naturopaths, because in my mind, this is actually really interesting because my grandma became a naturopath when she was 50. And she was a massage therapist beforehand.
Yes.
And she used to make up different herbs and she'd have different homeopathy things. So this is all making sense, because I was younger when she was doing this, so I didn't really have the knowledge that I do now. So when you see a naturopath, in my mind, I'm thinking they generally give you herbs, and the listeners might be thinking I've been there, but they might do body work or other techniques, as you're saying.
Good. Most naturopaths, you will leave your consultation with a mixed prescription. So you'll probably have a bottle of herbs, you might have a few nutritional supplements, you'll have a lovely list of all of the foods that you need to give up and swap over for healthier options. Mm-hmm. And they might even work at saying to you, I recommend you go and see an osteopath or a massage therapist, or we need you to get some more exercise. So a naturopath will really do that holistic picture all the way.
Yeah. So what would you say is the underlying belief of a naturopath when it comes to the body, and possibly the difference that it might take from a medical standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. Look, the beauty of working in naturopathic medicine is that we don't pull the body apart into systems. So whereas in our medical model in a hospital system, or when you go to your GP and you get referrals to a specialist, we're really pulling the body apart. You'll go to a urologist for one thing, a neurologist for another thing, your podiatrist for your feet, you're someone for something else. So in a naturopathy situation, someone comes to us and we'll look at the whole body. It's okay, you're constipated. That's not just a bowel problem. That can be
Mhm.
related to how you're chewing your food, the foods that you're choosing, how stressed you might be at work or in your relationships. It might be related to medication that you're taking. It might be related to the environment that you're living in. So we'll really take a holistic approach, and we're not just working on that one area of the body. We're looking at you as a whole person and working out how we can bring everything back into balance. So naturally that body wants to be healthy and working optimally.
I love that. That's the sentiment that I always say, your body isn't the problem, it's the solution, which is sort of looking at, oh, wow, this is that message from my body telling me, hey, something's off. And
Mhm,
I love how you look at everything together to
mhm.
tell you what that is. So you've mentioned there constipation. How might someone know that these types of therapies would help them or that they would benefit from this type of work?
Yeah, look, I think if you're new to it and you haven't had any experience before, I think if you've got a serious health concern, it is always a good idea to start with your GP. Go
Mhm.
there, get blood panels done, get scans if there's pain or if there's weird lumps or bumps, if there's excess bleeding, anything that would be concerning, get to your GP first, have everything investigated. And it's actually really useful for me as a naturopath if you arrive with blood tests or
Mhm.
with the results of scans or with you know, a bit of paper from a doctor or from a specialist. It helps me eliminate anything more sinister that we need to act on
Mhm.
really quickly, and then we can start to work holistically. So I would say that the people usually, well, my practice at the moment is very much burnt out women over 40 who are just, they've been giving their all to every other aspect of their lives and realize that they're tired, they're not creative, they're feeling miserable, their body's starting to change on them. So that's my thing. It's kind of this vague, undisclosed. They go to the doctor and say, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I've got brain fog, I'm losing my strength, or I can't multitask the way that I used to anymore. And it's this really vague thing that a doctor might
Mhm.
test their iron levels, maybe tell them to get a bit more exercise, be less stressed. But there's not really a pinpoint diagnosis that can be given with that. So that's
Mm.
where they will end up with me going, I just don't feel like myself. What's going on?
Mm.
From there, we start to unravel.
100%. And it's so nice when you get to see those types of people because sometimes when we're experiencing exactly as you said, it's sort of vague, it's general, it's how a lot of people commonly feel.
Yes.
A lot of us might go, oh, well, that's just all my friends feel like that.
Yeah.
It's perimenopause. Everyone does. So it's just what I have to feel.
Yeah.
And all my blood tests have come back normal. So it's great, exactly as you said. And this is sort of the framework that I utilize with female fundamentals is like, okay, medically, make sure, yes, you don't have any weird lumps or bumps. There's nothing sinister. There's nothing that you need medication or surgery for. That's a great first thing to do, particularly when it's a new thing. And then going, okay, functionally, what does my body actually need? These symptoms are telling me that my body doesn't have what it needs. What does it need? So that's
Yes.
where your work is so amazing and also where a lot of allied health practitioners come in. And then I love how you said the patients that you see, like the people sort of in their early 40s, mid to late 40s, who are like, okay, I can't keep doing what I'm doing and I'm feeling burnt out. This is where I use sort of that energetic lens. And I know I follow you on Instagram and I know that this is something that you believe in as well, definitely. And you've studied somatic therapy, which I want to touch on in a second. But what do you feel about women that are doing things based on shoulds? So I've been, why I'm asking this is because I've been really playing around with, well, how do we know when we're energetically malaligned, let's say? And energetically, I think of as like with the things you can't see creating what you can see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think it really is. One of the big warning signs for me is we're choosing things in our life based on shoulds. I
Mhm.
feel like I should do that, or I should be doing this.
Yeah.
I should think like this. And it's like, really? Should you?
And look, it's something I will really listen for. And, on top of, and this moves away from sort of very straight naturopathy as such, but look, life experience and the training that I've done in somatic therapy,
Mhm.
whenever I hear a should, that to me says we're working on a pre programmed belief.
Mm.
To me says our inner critic is having a go at us. Our inner rule maker is having a go at us. There's a program running in our thinking that is telling us this is what I should be doing. And it's all a construct. It's all made up by our own belief systems. And if we lived in a different culture, if we'd grown up in a different family, if we'd had different life experiences, those shoulds are very different for every different person. And everyone's probably had the experience of maybe having a new friendship or having a new relationship, and there's a way you run your home or there's a way you plan your day, and you say, well, this needs to be done. This has to happen. This is the way it works. Only to have that new partner look at you like you're absolutely nuts and go, oh, that doesn't bother me at all. I've never even thought about doing that. So it is I will listen to language when someone is talking to me, and where I hear the word should come up, that's where I know we're working with a belief system, a pre-programmed thing in our thinking, rather than our true desire and what we want out of the world. So yeah, it's a really good picture, that word.
Yeah. So what impact do you feel beliefs play on physical manifestations of symptoms?
Yeah. Well, again, and you'll see the word that I used as the opposite of I should there is what do I desire? When we come from a place of what do I desire, we're working in our creativity. And I think particularly for women, and not men, but particularly for women, we are a creative energy.
We literally house human.
Yeah.
We create human beings. So do men. They're a component.
Yeah. We can create life. And we don't all have to create life. But I always find that women feel better when creative energy is flowing. If you haven't got your side project, if you don't write your journal every night, if you're not making it, we're outputters. We create, alchemists. We take things and we create. That's where our life force and our energy flow comes from. And I think they're the things that are so easy to give up when you're spinning all the plates and life's coming at you in every direction and you're almost running on an hourly schedule through the day of, picking up children, getting yourself to work, remember to pick up that, making appointments, all the things that we do take on in this modern world for men and women. We're not leaving room just for creativity. And I think the other really big thing that comes into play a lot for us now is our creativity and our focus is stolen by digital and social media. I think it's so easy to sit there and to scroll, and I'm guilty of it myself. This is why I can speak to it, to sit there and scroll because you're tired, you're brain dead. You want to make a cup of tea and sit there and you go, I'm having an hour of Instagram time. Just to, maybe the way we used to have read a Dolly magazine when we were younger, or maybe the way that we would have put on a repeat of a MASH episode or something when we were younger. But there is this need to disassociate a little bit as we chill out. But unfortunately, what that does is it steals our focus. It steals our creativity and it steals our time. So we're still feeling depleted of that creative energy, even when we're having our downtime now.
I love that sentiment. I actually was literally thinking about this exact thing yesterday because I've got in front of me, if anyone's watching this, I've got 2 phones now. So I need a phone now for work. There you go. You've got 2 phones. Perfect. I'm like, okay, I need to keep Instagram. I need to do these things because a lot of my work now is through that, which is great. And I love it. And it is actually, when I use it as a creative output, I love it. I'm like, how awesome that I get to make these fun videos, that I get to explain something simply and I get to skateboard and I get to do these things. Like, this is fun. That's creative for me.
Yes.
But when I'm like, okay, it has to be this way and I have to get it done at this time and it needs to be within these parameters and we need to set a goal for this amount of people interact with it at this time, it's like straight away, all of the creativity, all of my like life force that I feel going through me is diminished.
Yes.
But yesterday when I was sitting there and I was working on my computer and I was feeling really in the flow and I was like, oh, this is so good. I'm creative. I'm getting all these ideas out and it's actually like coming together really well. And then I would notice there would be a gap in the flow and my instinct was to go straight to my phone.
Yes.
And look at Instagram, look at something. And I'm like, okay, I don't have that phone. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll look at the weather. I'll look at my bank app. I'll look at something that can give me, I'm like, I don't have Instagram anymore. So what am I going to do? I'm going to look at something else. And I thought it's so interesting because I am so uncomfortable in this little pocket of not knowing. It's sort of like we have this, I know this, and then it's like I'm working towards this other thing, this growth of I want to know that, but I'm sort of stuck in this space between of I don't know. And when I'm noticing when there's a time pressure in that space of I don't know,
yes,
it goes from you're not learning and it's not growing. It's like there's frustration. It's like I
Mm.
feel concerned and worried that I'm not going to figure this out
Yes.
the way I need to in the time I need to. So I need to distract myself from that really uncomfortable feeling. So I'm going to go on Instagram, go on my phone, eat something, watch TV, do something, because I hate this feeling of not knowing. However, what I've realized, and I'm not sure about you, Lara, is when the space of not knowing, there's no time pressure,
Yeah.
feels creative. I'm like, oh, this learning, because not knowing is you're learning, you're growing. You don't know one thing to another. You're like, okay, I'm learning this.
Yeah.
And learning is fun when there's no time pressure or there's no like it has to be a certain way. But when it has to be a certain way and there's time pressure, that's like,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And I think that learning and creativity or fact finding that's play.
Mhm.
Play. Like when you think about when you're really into what you're researching, or if you're building a garden in the backyard, or when you're on your skateboard doing your little videos that you're
Video.
doing, that's play. And play is a great place to be. Play is
Mhm.
when our neurons connect quicker than any other thing. They've done studies that show you can sit down and study and learn and rote learn and get ready for an exam. You won't hold that information. But if you learn something new while you're at play, it actually becomes embedded. The neurons actually all connect and it stays. And it's why children learn by playing. We know that that's part of what they do, but it actually doesn't stop in adulthood. If we want to learn new things in adulthood, the best way to retain that information is to play with it. So I know I'll sometimes do, if I'm researching for a new bit of education that I want to present or something like that, I will actually see if I've got a colleague or a friend that can do it with me. So we'll do it as we walk, or we'll do it as a cafe, and we'll swap books and we'll do this and we'll go, look at this, because that interaction and that play helps it make more sense and it makes it more fun, and that information sticks. And then when I go to deliver that education, it's actually coming from a place of memory. It's not coming from a place of where I've got to kind of make it up as I'm going and pull all the points in. It's just coming from, I remember that from the conversation we had. And it's a much more relaxed and easier way to deliver it. So play, I think play is a really important part of being a grown-up.
100%. And even in that, there's like a nuance of it feels playful. I'm just thinking when you just said the example of you catch up with a colleague and you're sharing different knowledge, it feels playful when you're okay not knowing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not enough, you don't know enough. There's sort of this like jealousy or envy or competition with the other person because they might know more, like, and that's all coming from, well, I don't feel like I know enough.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm just doing this for play and I'm curious, and you don't have that inner critic coming in being like, you're not enough, then it is actually play. And it's the same as when you're a kid playing chasey with your friends. You're just playing. You're not thinking, oh, I'm not enough at doing this, I didn't do it exactly how I need to. It's just you're having fun in the moment.
And the other beauty of being in a play space is that it's okay to make mistakes. And that's something I'll quite often preface if I'm having a meeting with a group of people and we're trying to be productive and have an outcome at the end of that meeting. I'll quite often preface it and go, it's okay not to know. We're taking on something new. Where, it might have been like when you were writing your book or starting your podcast, you start from a place of want to do this, but I give myself permission to not know. And that's what plays.
Straight away. As soon as you even said that, I'm like, oh, my body just went, oh, okay. That like all the physical tension just release.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I know you mentioned that you do that somatic therapy. How do you relate physical body sensations or tensions to underlying beliefs or physical manifestations of disease?
Yeah. So look, it's a really interesting one. Again, we always preface it with go and, check with your doctor, get the scans, get everything you need to get done. But again, what I see in my clinic is things that there has been no diagnosis for. We've got no anything. There's pain syndromes. There's, weird digestive is a big one. We're so via that beautiful vagus nerve, our nervous system and our digestive system is so intricately linked. You cannot have one without the other. They're always big ones. Wherever we've got digestive symptoms, we know something's going on. Muscles as well. Muscles are also connected. And I think particularly a lot of your listeners will probably be able to relate when overwhelm happens and when there's more on our plate than we can do with, our shoulders will come up. and we'll get into that. And that's a protective mechanism. So it's as those stress hormones rise, as the adrenaline, the cortisol rise. You can imagine when we were cave women, you know, if a threat was coming towards us, be that a saber-toothed tiger or be that the enemy from a different clan, what you would do is you protect your vital organs. And we've got a skull for our brain, but all of our organs in the middle here are very exposed if you think back to, walking around in your leopard skin skirts and stuff. So our body tends to protect. Whenever we feel cortisol or adrenaline, our body will protect like this. And what that does is, you can see my shoulders are up to my ears. And that's a funny thing I always say. I know I'm in overwhelm because I get an eyelid twitch and my shoulders are like this. And that's when I go, okay, we need to go play. We need to go play because we've lost it. So it's that protective thing that comes in. But what's also happening as you do that protective thing, not only are you going to get headaches from the neck stuff, but this is your diaphragm here. And your diaphragm is how we breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So we're not breathing properly if we're like this. So we're not getting the oxygen to the brain. So we're feeling brain foggy. But we're also not digesting, because as our food goes down into our stomach, its next step is to move into the small intestine. And that happens through the diaphragm. So if we have got a constricted type diaphragm here, our food isn't moving to the next level. We're not digesting it properly. So then, of course, we're going to end up constipated. Of course, we're going to end up bloated because we haven't done the digestion and it hasn't flowed through the way that it's meant to, because we're like this and nothing can go anywhere. But that's just that's an actual biological physical thing that's happening. But that nervous stuff with that vagus nerve and how the messages travel and the way that our cells hold trauma. And in somatic therapy, which basically what that means is that anything we've experienced or anything that has been frightening to us can be held in cellular memory. And it really comes off the beautiful work of Dr. Peter Levine, who has done some fantastic work in this area. But I think what illustrates it and how he illustrates it the best way is he tells the story of, if you see a young animal, say out on the African prairie or in a forest or something like that, say a young deer, and it does get chased by a predator, it will run and run and run. And when it gets somewhere safe and it knows that it's out of danger, it will shake. It will shake and shake and shake. And that shaking and physical movement shakes off that stress hormone. So all the adrenaline that's been thrown into the muscles, thrown into all of the organs, because it's not just the muscles. What also happens is a message will go to the kidneys, saying to the kidneys, right, we really need to hold on to potassium and phosphorus and minerals that'll give our muscles lots of strength and energy to run. And also we're going to let go of things like the calcium and the magnesium, because they're our relaxing and sedating minerals. So let's let them go, because we don't want to be relaxed right now. We want to be running. So all these physiological things happen in our bodies. And so Peter Levine talks a lot about, as humans, we don't shake it off. We don't allow ourselves, because, if you fall over in public, you might really hurt yourself. But you know how you get, I'm fine. Nobody saw that, did they? I'm all good. I'm so clumsy. You're at this thing to pull yourself back together and apologize for your clumsiness. But you might be really hurt. And then you find you get back in your car and you feel really wobbly and shaky and your blood sugar will drop. So we know that those stress hormones have that trauma. But if we don't complete that process, it can get stored in the cells. And over time, those cells will feel it. And that's where they will start to not work, to not do their function properly, whether it's the muscles, whether it's in an organ, whether it's in the fascia of the body. They're storing all of this stored traumatic experience and the chemicals of the traumatic experience as well. So it's almost like we need to detox the body of that trauma. And that's how somatic therapy works. It helps us release and detox the trauma out of the cells of our body. Yeah,
that is an amazing way to explain it. I always love how you explain things. It's so good. I always learn so much from you. But it's so interesting that you say that, because a lot of the times I see women, and you would too, that come in and say, I've got painful periods or heavy periods, or I've got brain fog, or I can't lose weight even though I've tried minimizing my food and exercising a lot, whatever the symptom is. And then we can go, okay, well, yes, you've got your blood test taken. Great. There's nothing seriously wrong with any of the organs that contribute to the hormones that are doing that, or you've had the scans done as well. And then it's like, okay, well, why is that happening? Yes, maybe we can go, there's estrogen dominance, or there's not as much progesterone, or these things are happening. But really underneath all of that is does the cell have what it needs to work? If a cell has what it needs to work, then it's an ovarian cell. The ovaries do what they need. It's a brain cell. The brain does what it needs. It's a kidney cell. The kidney does what it needs. It's just really coming back to that cellular process. Does the cell have what it needs? And I love how you so effortlessly, unlike me trying to say that word, tied in the somatics of, okay, well, there is that, it has that stored energy and it almost needs to be able to express the energy fully and be able to close that loop. Like what you said with, okay, you're being chased. Yes, you went into that mode and you needed to be able to activate your muscles, and now you're safe and you need to be able to expend those chemicals that you no longer need anymore, and you can come back to that baseline balance. I know it's interesting. I wear a Whoop now, like a biofeedback sort of device.
Ooh.
And it's actually been really, there's a part of me that's opposed to them because I'm like, just listen to your body and your body will tell you through your symptoms. But also there's a curiosity part going, okay, I wonder whether this hard data is going to correlate with how I feel as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to compare. It's the curiosity part. And interestingly, last night when I went to bed, and this happens to me a lot more so now, having processed a lot of my own past traumas and things, I'm much more connected to my somatic body. So I will shake. Often when I'm going to sleep, when I'm in bed, I'll like sort of, everyone like sort of goes like, oh, you're stretching, you're yawning, you're doing the things. But I will find that my body will start to want to shake. And I think I used to resist it because like, what are you doing? Right. When I first started to do it, I'm like, this is weird. Like, this is really weird. And if people are unaware of what this is, you could be like, is she having a seizure? Like, what's happening?
Do I call an ambulance? What are we doing here?
Yes. But actually, when you just go, okay, well, and in the start, you're like, am I leaning into this? Am I doing this on purpose, or is this my body doing it? I know this is what a lot of people that I work with start to say, as well as what I've felt. But when you actually just allow your body to be like, okay, it's going to move how it's going to move.
Yeah.
The shaking, it's like, oh my gosh. And then after, you're like, I feel all the tension has gone away in my body. It's the same as like not resisting or holding in tears.
Yes.
Or not resisting or holding in laughter and joy.
Yes.
Or not, like, it's just like you actually get to fully express the emotion and that energy.
Yeah.
Because emotion is that energy and motion. And then you can actually go like, oh, you come back to that baseline. So I love how you just, put together.
And I love in doing that, and particularly probably before bed too, is you're not having to intellectualize or the stress that you're under or what you went through in that day. And I think that's probably in our modern world, modern medicine's approach to stress, trauma, upset, anything like that is talk therapy. We quite often refer to talk therapy as a head down approach. We're working with the head, we're thinking things through, we're finding reasoning, we're finding connections, we're going into what happened in our childhood to do this. And that's all good stuff. It's all part of the picture. But what we're trying to do is get our head right to then have an effect on our body. When we move into somatic therapy, it's let's let our body, we call it body up. Let's let our body do what our body needs to do. And that just by the nature of it will sort out our head. And I think that's a really lovely way to do it. And when I get people sort of started with it's a really weird thing. And you can do some really lovely and gentle stuff. You've probably done trauma release exercises where you just start with you lay on your back with your knees bent and you just let your knees sort of gently come to that point where it's a pull on your muscles and you start to feel the shake, like if you've ever tried to go to the gym. And you just go with that. You just sit there with it and let your legs shake. And then you'll find the rest of your body will start joining in. And that's but you can stop it. If you don't want that to continue or you're feeling a bit out of control, best thing to do is just legs straight out and toes up to the ceiling. So if you stretch it out like a cat, that will stop the tremoring and the shaking. So I always kind of give people I'm talking to about it, that's how you drive it. That's so you feel safe, because safety is such a big part of all of this work. And that's, we can gently instigate it by doing this nice little exercise by letting your legs start to shake as your knees fall apart. And we can stop it by stretching out and just stopping that shake. So that alone gives someone a little bit of a sense of control when their body does go into this shaking mode. But you're absolutely right. What you can get out, and it can look so violent and nuts and crazy as you shake all over the bed or the floor or the yoga mat. But once it's done, there is just this, there's almost a euphoria. Sometimes
it's like like what people would say, like after an orgasm, that feeling. It's like, seriously, I remember this. I used to suppress a lot of my sadness or tears, let's say, and the tears might have been because there was anger, there was whatever, the tears would be there, and I'd be like, no, you're not allowed to cry, like hold it in.
Yeah.
And then and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need a good cry. Like, okay, what's like, I have like a playlist that can get me crying, or like sad videos or things that are like happy tears. But because now when there's like the completion and the fully feeling of the emotion, it completes and you get that like, okay, as opposed to when I would used to cry, I would resist feeling it fully, and then I wouldn't get the full feeling of like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what my body needed. And like, okay, now I feel like I've sort of recalibrated a bit,
Yeah.
and now I can
And I think
think.
for us as women, even more so, we're not allowed to be angry. We're
Mhm.
not allowed to raise our voices.
Mm.
Society has got so many restrictions on what it is to be a good woman, a nice girl, a friendly person. I will admit I have my dirty little secret is I'm watching maths at the moment. And I keep
Not so much a secret anymore.
at least I'm not scrolling, right? But every time they describe one of the brides, they go, she's such a bubbly, fun-loving girl. And I text my friends and I go, they use the word bubbly again. And I think it's so funny. These are grown women who are expected to be smiling, and that's a compliment. It's a compliment to go, she's got such a fun, bubbly energy, because that's what's expected of us. We're expected to create the emotional atmosphere of any situation that we're in. We're expected to bring that to the thing. You know, as women, you bring the energy and the atmosphere and set that up for everybody else in the room. So that means it doesn't give us freedom to be upset, to be angry, to be resentful, to just be frustrated and overwhelmed and cranky and all of those other
It's
emotions.
all the shoulds.
It's
It's
all
all
the
the shoulds.
It's all the
It's like, you should show up like this, you need to show up like that, instead of like, I want this. And it's interesting when you're saying that. I'm like, I wonder if we could flip the perspective and go, well, if you're showing up authentically as you and how you're feeling things, then you can be a mirror of the situation.
Yeah.
And go, okay, I'm getting a healthy read on the situation, and this is what's happening, and I'm showing up as the mirror
Yes.
of everything that's going on. But also underneath that has to take into consideration, are you actually in a good energy of yourself before you necessarily are going into it? Because you might be bringing stuff from, well, we all bring a lot of stuff from our past into those situations. So it's going, okay, like my number one job is to do things that make me feel good, and like have that, prioritize yourself throughout the day. Because that's the thing, if you're not prioritizing yourself, then you go, oh, well, yes, I'm angry and I'm mirroring this situation. It's like, maybe it's not this situation. Maybe it's because you actually are so depleted and you haven't looked after yourself, and you're bringing all the other past situations into this situation.
Yes, exactly.
And that's a mirror to yourself.
That's why it is so important that we heal.
You know your body better than anyone. So why do your test results say everything's normal when you don't feel normal? Fatigue, bloating, period pain, mood swings, anxiety, these aren't random. Your body isn't broken, and these symptoms aren't just something you have to live with. They're signals that something deeper is going on. That's where Test Your Fundamentals comes in. Using a hair tissue mineral analysis, or HTMA, this test gives you a 3-month report card of how your body's been functioning, internally and externally. It shows you exactly what's happening beneath the surface, so you can stop guessing and start listening to your body in a different way. Unlike standard blood tests, HTMA reveals nutrient imbalances, heavy metal exposure, and deficiencies that could be impacting your energy, hormones, metabolism, and mental clarity. It doesn't just tell you what's happening, it tells you why. With Test Your Fundamentals, you'll get a personalized HTMA test, an easy to understand breakdown of your results, access to practitioner quality supplements tailored to your body's needs, and lifestyle recommendations to support all 4 of your fundamentals, so you can take action that actually makes a difference. If you've been told that everything looks fine, but you know something isn't right, it's time to dig deeper. Visit femalefundamentals.com.au to order your Test Your Fundamentals hair test today. There's also a link in the show notes. It's not what's wrong with me, it's what's my body trying to tell me.
That's why healing is so important, because the more healed we are, the more available we are to life. And
Exactly.
you know, that to me is the essence of healing. When someone sort of says, what do you do, or what will I get out of this somatic session? I almost can't put it into words, because it's just like, you're going to have the ability to reconnect to life again. You are going to be able to walk into a room and read it. You're not going to have self-doubt and go, oh, did they all not like me? I thought they looked at me funny. Do you think they think I ate too much off the buffet? You're not going to have that, because you're going to be so authentically in yourself and in your feeling sense. You connect to life again. You know what's yours and what's not somebody else's. And that's freedom. That's just absolute freedom. And that is why we heal. We heal to be free.
I love that. And it's that you actually, that freedom to me is like, you feel alive. Like that's actually, and that's that creative life force. You're like, my energy is coming from within me. I'm not getting energy from, oh, well, I'm so depleted, but I have to get energy by resting and scrolling on my phone and watching maths, which is sometimes energizing, but sometimes you're like, it's just not taking away. It's not adding, but it's not taking away, or it's caffeine, or it's these sugary foods, or it's this stuff. But when you're actually doing things that you want to do, your energy comes from within. But if you're doing things that you should be doing, then often it's like, oh, okay, now I need energy from outside sources.
And I
need
want to put the caveat on that, in being a naturopath and having a lot of colleagues and a lot of friends that work in the industry as well. I even think as healers and healthcare workers ourselves, we can sometimes take on an approach to healing that is still within the shoulds. I should be taking my vitamins. I'm tired. I should go see the doctor for a B12 shot. I should be doing this. And I think it's something, again, we can really fall into, particularly when we almost know too much. We can fall into, I should be eating this. I should be doing, I should not be having my gluten. I should not be doing this. That's got salicylates. I shouldn't be doing that. And that really is the same energy that's created your poor health to begin with. Stressful. It's pressure. It's the should.
Fear.
It's fear. It's the should. All that stuff. And I think if you approach your healing with the same energy that got you into your disharmony and dis-ease, we're not going to heal properly. It's about really changing beliefs and your way of being in the world that creates healing. And I know when we look at sort of miracle cures, there's some fantastic books out there on miracle cures and how these people turn things around. And the stories are nearly always the same. And there's just this complete change. It's not that they gave up gluten, even though that helps, but it's more because they did something like they left a relationship, or they left a job, or they moved to the coast and started swimming in the ocean every day. Or there's
did something that they wanted to do, and they paid attention to their body and went, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I went and I saw Gabor Mate in person a couple of weeks ago on the coast here, and he said two things that stuck with me, but it's basically, he says, he's like, we have the core needs of authenticity and attachment.
Yes.
And often when we're younger, for some reason or another, we neglect some form of our authenticity, aka what are our actual desires or our wants, for making sure that we are attached and that people are going to accept us, we're going to belong, because we need that for survival when we're a young child. We need our mum to care for us. We need our dad to care for us. We need the older people to make sure that we have food, we have shelter, we have all of these things. However, when we grow up and we believe that you can be yourself or you can be accepted, but you can't be both, that's when it's like, okay, well, we don't have alignment. But when you can be yourself and then you actually get aligned attachment, because we still need connection. Connection is a huge thing to other people.
We work in tribe.
We do. We need that. However, if you're not authentic, then you get aligned with unaligned attachments.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're in the wrong relationship, you're in the wrong job, you're in the whatever.
And if you're not authentic, we're exhausted.
Exactly.
Because it's taking energy. It's not gaining energy. It's not even free flow of energy. It requires it. We all know when we've been at an event where you've had to put your mask on professionally or for family or whatever, it's exhausting. They are the days you come home and watch maths and scroll on your phone, because it's really exhausting. Whereas the day that you've maybe had a day off work and you've got to go to the beach and just be completely by yourself, you don't come home from that exhausted. Yeah.
And that's even interesting in and of itself to go, oh, okay, if you feel like you have to be by yourself to recharge, I know there's introverts, extroverts, there's all that conversation that we're not going to get into, but maybe that's speaking to, maybe that's your body saying, okay, what masks are you putting on? Like you're choosing attachment over authenticity.
Yes.
Because if you're just being you, and you're out in the world being you, then you can, when you trust life and you can connect to life, like you were saying, like feel that aliveness, and you think about manifestation, you can think about on the energetic perspective, the things that are aligned to you are going to be attracted in
Yes.
from how you're behaving, from that authenticity. So the aligned attachments come in as opposed to the malaligned ones. And I think that's when I was thinking about, I'm like, okay, when we have authenticity and those authentic attachments, that's when we feel aligned. And when we can just think of different symptoms, and the severity can lead us to need medication and surgery, but often that doesn't just happen overnight. It's from years and years and years of misalignment.
Yep.
In whichever way. So it's like, okay, well, if you come back and go, well, alignment is me being me and all the people that love me being me come in, that's alignment, then okay, maybe I just need to come back to, if we go way, 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 way back and peel back to, okay, who am I? What do I actually want? What do I desire? And maybe that is something that you can go, okay, I'm just going to start with something really little. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying to everyone right now, go quit your job if you hate it. Do it if you can and you feel like that's right for
You don't have to tear everything down.
No, but you can just go, oh, okay, maybe it is and this is what I say to patients. It's like, if you feel that your body needs to go to the toilet, go to the toilet. If you are thirsty, drink water.
Yes.
Don't go, okay, because I think when I first started working as a chiropractor and I'd be seeing like, say, 70, 80 patients a day, and I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, I really need to go to the toilet, but I've got a patient waiting in the next room. And I'll just keep going and I'll just do that. And then I'll look up the clock and I go, it's 2.5 hours after I thought I needed to go to the toilet. And I just my body just had to disassociate from the urge of needing to go to the toilet.
Yeah. And I find that I'll talk to colleagues that I'll check in with sort of, and, we'll usually have a cup of tea and a chat about 3 o'clock, and we might get online and have a quick chat. And we will say to each other, we'll go, I haven't even eaten today. The day's just, from the moment I got up and got the children ready and sent them off and then got onto my thing, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's 3 o'clock and I haven't even eaten. And I think that's a really common thing for people these days. But again, that disconnected, that up here in the head stuff on the computer and looking at the spreadsheets or having the conversations or the meetings you need to have, just complete disconnect from I need to go to the toilet, I need to eat, I'm dehydrated, I need to move. I think that's the other thing. How many times have you sat at your desk in front of the computer for hours and hours, and then you go to stand up and you actually can't. Your lower back's just given in on you. And you kind of waddle a bit before you can walk to the kitchen and get that glass of water. So it is, and that's a disconnect from our body. It's a disconnect. And it's tiny little things like that that make the difference. It's that tiny little, your body loves it. If you give half an opportunity to reconnect, your body just loves it.
It does. And I think it's like, as the examples you were giving there, it is just think of your body like a toddler. Like a toddler doesn't know how to speak. When it's throwing a tantrum or when it's like you don't know what the hell's going on, what do? You go, okay, do they need their nappy changed?
Yes.
Do they need food? Are they thirsty? Have they moved and gone outside and been able to play?
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty much. Or are they tired?
Taken care of here.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. So when you're like, oh, okay, I just don't feel like something is right, or you're noticing different symptoms with your body, it's like, okay, well, maybe have I done those basic things?
Yeah. And have I
just asking yourself that and going, oh, okay. And also like you're worth doing those things.
Yeah.
Just do those little things.
That's a big, and again, I find women of a certain age who are in that just phase where it doesn't even have to be that, but it is just where there's a lot of responsibilities. There's a lot of different things pulling at your energy. And it's really, really hard to put your hand on your heart and go, no, this is important. This is what's important, because you're being told all the time, deadline here, you got to pick the kids up here. I thought you were coming to do this. Can you babysit my kids? Your dad's got a doctor's appointment. Can you do this? And there's so many things that pull, and you love these people. That's how we work. We work by giving love, but sometimes you really have got to come in and just go, what's important? And I often think about, like, I've traveled a lot, I spent a lot of my 20s is on my 30s backpacking around the world, and it was best I'd recommend it to anyone. Fabulous thing. But when you do go to other cultures and you see their religious practices, if you've ever been in the Middle East or been to Turkey, been somewhere like that, and you've got things like the call to prayer, which happens 5 times a day. And it's quite an experience. It's at dawn, it's at dusk, it's throughout the day. And everyone stops and has their call to prayer and will go to their prayer mat and do that. And while I'm not particularly religious in any one way, I just think the practice, imagine if we had a practice of 5 times a day that you stopped to connect with your spirituality.
Mm.
You stopped to be grateful, that you stopped to say thank you, bestow good wishes upon me. It's one of those things, well, I'm not prescribing to any religion, but whether it's a yogic practice, whether it's a walk in the sunshine. But imagine if our whole society lived on a system that 5 times a day, the reminder rang out to say, go and connect.
Mm-hmm.
What a different way you would live.
Insanely different you would live. I love that. And I think it's really important, even just the power of setting an intention at the start of the day
Yeah.
and then like having at the end of the day, okay, like let's just have a defrag. Let's go, okay, yes, these things happen, but I'm paying attention to those thoughts, the beliefs and the things. And I'm intentionally giving myself another belief.
Yes.
Like I'm intentionally going, oh, okay, I'm like when I was getting ready this morning, I was putting makeup on and my mind was going, okay, yes, okay, you've got this and then you're doing this thing today. And what about that? It's like, oh, make sure you cover up that blemish, make sure you do this and that, and like all the different things. And I'm like, I just caught myself and I thought, okay, all of these are different random thoughts.
Yeah.
But the underlying thing is I'm not enough or I don't have enough time.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, okay, if you just take them as at the crux, like not enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to put my body into a pretty stressed state.
Yep.
Instead of
is every thought.
Exactly. So then you're like, okay, well, and I just caught myself. I'm like, okay, no. And then I just looked in the mirror. I was like, well, I love you. And it's like, oh, and then straight away it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then you can just laugh. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's really, really paying attention. I love that. Like imagine if we did have those times where we actually stopped.
Yes.
And it was ingrained in the culture of you're stopping and you're doing this.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe stopping and checking your phone.
And again, it's the little things. You know, sometimes you can feel so overwhelmed. You want to make this huge change. And we've all done it. Escapism fantasy is one of my favorites. You know, I'm looking up property on the Sunshine Coast and I'm moving to live in the rainforest and be self-sufficient and get out of Sydney. You know, I do it all the time. But it's the little things that have actually helped me cope with the everyday. And that's little things like I know just by my front door where my car keys are, my sunglasses and where I grab my handbag. I've put a little bottle of like a mister sort of thing, but it's called a miracle mist. And I do that as I grab everything else and it reminds me to expect a miracle today.
I love that.
It's become part of my habit. And I don't know, I've probably got some essential oils in it or something like that, but it's the intention of I'm going to give myself a quick swish because as I walk out this day, I'm inviting miracles in today. And it works. Someone else could probably explain the quantum physics of it better, but it works. Or the other thing I started doing was actually stole my kids' bath crayons and I keep one in my shower. So while I'm doing my whole same thing, you know, thinking, and that's when my internal critic really gets at me, but I'll write an affirmation or just a goal, just something I want to get out of today in my bath crayon on the shower wall, you know, and that's the act of doing it. I've got all the little post-it notes stuck around my mirror, but you can tend not to see them anymore. Whereas the physical act of actually writing, you know, what I'd like to do today is really nail this podcast and really have a great interaction with this person and get my message across. If that's what I write on that shower wall, it's just aligned me a little bit. It's become my desire. I've set my desire for the day.
So you're going the want, the desire, the authenticity, you're not being driven by the shoulds.
Yep.
And what everyone else would be thinking or all of those inner critics. I love that. Time for a body break. You have permission to be in this moment fully, gently, and without needing to perform or prove. Whatever you've been holding on to in your mind, whatever your body's been tensing around, you can set it down for now. Soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw, and let your breath deepen. You are allowed to feel light. You're allowed to feel free, just as you are in this moment. You are enough. So speaking on shoulds and you being a naturopath and a herbalist and expert in nutrition, a lot of people say, oh, I should take magnesium. Everyone's taking magnesium. I should take magnesium. Or whatever the flavor of the month is, I should do ice baths because everyone's doing ice baths. Or I should be doing saunas because everyone's doing this. So if we take magnesium as an example, Do you think everyone should take magnesium?
Look, it's a good question. I know everyone's probably on magnesium, and magnesium's great stuff. Magnesium is what calcium, magnesium work together in our muscles. So calcium helps us tense a muscle, magnesium helps us release. So it's why when we're feeling all tense like that, magnesium's fantastic to take. Helps us make energy, helps make enzymes to digest the food, helps our brain work, helps us sleep properly. There's great reasons to take magnesium. However, it is not scientifically possible that everyone is magnesium deficient. And I think this is really important as to where you come to see a good practitioner and you get some testing done and you know what's going on. Because I have had clients myself where from the outside, I think this is classic magnesium deficiency. They're stressed, they're not sleeping. I know they're overwhelmed. This is the type of woman I would give magnesium to. She needs to be on it long term because she's under stress. And then we've actually done some functional testing and it's come back, it's not magnesium, it's the calcium. It's the balance between the magnesium and the calcium that's gone wrong. Or in more extreme circumstances, it might be that there's a bit of a heavy metal load. Maybe they've had an exposure to some sort of heavy metal. And the reason that the magnesium's mucked up is because that heavy metal is stealing and getting into the cells instead of magnesium. So I could give her a tub of magnesium every fortnight if I wanted to. It's going to go straight through. The other thing I think, like we've touched on already, is what's going on under that. And I find this particularly if I haven't done some testing, I look, just take some magnesium, we'll see how we go. And things don't improve, then it's like, okay, what's going on? Because as I said earlier, when I was talking about us being chased by the saber-toothed tiger, if we're in a stress mode and pumping stress hormones all the time, which doesn't have to be the tiger, it can be our laptop, it can be our steering wheel, it can be our children, our partners, our whatever else is going on. If we're constantly pumping those stress hormones, the message that our adrenal glands are sending to the kidney is pee out magnesium, pee out magnesium. So as much as we're putting in, it might flood our cells for a couple of hours, half a day, but then we're peeing it out. So the problem here is, again, let's go back to the stress. Let's go back to calming this system down, turning off the emergency response so that the kidneys are now getting the message, it's all okay. You can now start holding on to this magnesium and making it available to the cells again. I think this is why the testing and the delving further into the case history of the person in front of us is so important. Because no, not everyone is going to need magnesium. And the signs and symptoms can show up very similarly, but it might be this balance between calcium and magnesium. And remember, that's every muscle. I've done it with a bicep there, but our heart is a muscle. Our digestive system is a muscle. So where we've got this balance between these minerals that are making the muscles contract and release could be affecting us anywhere. It's not just about having tight shoulders. It could be in the arrhythmia that you've got. It could be in the cramps in your gut. So it extends to all areas, and it may not always be a magnesium. And I would really encourage you, if you've sort of gone and helped yourself off the shelf of the health food store or something and got magnesium and it hasn't worked the way it maybe worked for your sister or the way it maybe worked for the people in the Facebook help group, I would go and get tested, because maybe your mineral imbalance is not magnesium. Maybe there's something else going on.
And when you say tested, that's a hair tissue mineral analysis?
Yeah,
typically?
I really like the hair tissue mineral analysis. That works really well. And I think that even coupled with the blood test that we can get, we can do a lovely comparison there as well, because blood tests are showing us something that is instantaneous, where we're at right there in that moment and how the blood is adapting to how we're living on that day in that hour. Whereas a hair mineral test is actually showing us minerals that have been laid down over a 2 to 3 month period. So it's almost like we've got the here and now, and then we've got the bigger picture of the long term and what's going on. And when we've got both of those things in our vision, we can really see what's going on within the body.
I love that, how you mentioned, maybe you're stressed and that's you just excreting it at the same pace, if not faster, as what you're consuming it. That's why I love when I am looking at, okay, well, yes, medically you don't need support. That is great news, because there's nothing really, really sinister going on. Then it's like that functional, what I call the functional lens, which is like, okay, well, where the hell do I even start? What am I meant to do? I know I've got hair, skin, and nail issues. I'm going to go into the chemist and I'm going to get the hair, skin, and nail multivitamin. I'm going to do these things, which is great and often can help. But it's looking at, okay, what I call the 4 female fundamentals, which is your nervous system, metabolism, nutrients, and blood sugars. Because if you're someone's like, okay, I need to take magnesium, and we both know that magnesium plays a big role in blood sugars as well. But when you're someone that's like, okay, well, I'm just taking this multivitamin. I'm trying to focus on this nutrient bit, but it's like the reason why your nutrients are so out of balance is because you're super stressed and maybe you're excreting these different minerals, and also your vagal nerve is affecting your gut, so then you can't absorb them as well. So and also maybe there is deficiencies in the soil, or you're not actually consuming enough through your food. Like there's so many different components to look at other than this magic pill in the form of a supplement that's not a medication, because maybe someone's coming in here and going, I hate medication, and that's bypassing everything, because we have sometimes we have a bias against medicine. And then we go, but supplements, they're great and I'm going to do that. And this is what I had to go through as well, because I'm like, oh, well, that's the thing that's going to help me. The supplement thing is going to help me. And it did too, massively. But also it's like, yeah, the reason why you've got this mineral profile, the reason why you're deficient here or in excess here is actually because you're not slowing down. And you actually need to care for your nervous system, and your gut's not absorbing very well, and your body's holding on to all these minerals to try and help you balance. It's all it's trying to do is just help you balance. So if you actually just will go, maybe we bring in what we were talking about before, bring in a little bit more play, little bit nicer to yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe start doing things that you do want, not that you think you should do.
Yeah. And I think with that is just to remember our body is always working for us. And we so often, and I do it, you get frustrated. Like if you've got an ache or a pain, or if you've got something or you get a headache, it can be really frustrating. Oh, stupid body, or stupid, I can't sleep. My stupid body won't let me sleep. I mean, that's negative self-talk we don't want anyway. But our body is always working for us. So if it's doing something, it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to protect you from something worse most of the time. The body will fight and fight and fight until the final minute to try and bring us into balance. It always is doing that. It's bringing you into balance. You know, if you're gaining weight because of your stress hormones, that's your body thinking, because again, let's go back to being cave women. If we had stress hormones pumping, it would be because we were in a time of famine, or maybe of bushfire, or maybe of drought. So those long-term stress hormones like cortisol, they will rise to go, okay, I need to protect this body. We're in a period of drought and famine, so we need to protect this body. So it will, anything it can get in, it will store as energy and as water, because that's the proper response. It's let's look after this body. And obviously, again, now our stresses are not drought and famine. Our stresses are our laptops and our children and our driving in the Sydney traffic. So we're getting all of that messaging that our cave woman would have, say, hold on to fluid, hold on to body fat as an energy source. And it's our body actually working for us. It thinks it's doing the right thing. So you'll be right, love. I've got you. You know, well, but
all of a sudden our body has a Cockney accent.
Yep, you can travel across the hills with me. I've bulked you all up and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's always trying to work for us, even when it doesn't feel like it. And I think that's what we've really got to keep in mind. And it brings even more, like the beautiful work that you do is about asking why. Why? And I think that's what we need to keep asking. We've got to continue to have that curiosity with our health, and make sure that our healthcare practitioners have got that curiosity. I think that's really important. If you're working with a healthcare professional that isn't curious about what got you to this state, they're not the ones that are going to help you get out of it and get healthy.
No, exactly. And it's holding that curiosity. I'm not sure whether you've heard of internal family systems. You probably have. IFS, which is like connecting to self, which are the 8 C's.
Yes.
And 2 of them are curiosity and creativity, which is what we've spoken about a lot today. So it's when we can actually be in that state when we're witnessing our body, or when we're witnessing, oh my gosh, I've got this pain, or I've got this headache. And as you said, it's like you get into the, why do I have this headache? I have to do this meeting and this is really annoying. And like, I have to do all these things. This is stopping me from living my life. I don't feel so alive. I'm meant to be feeling alive, but I don't. It's like, well, actually, maybe if I'm curious about what this might be telling me, maybe it's saying, hey, I'm giving you a headache because you've been prepping for this presentation this whole day and you haven't drank any water. Hello, you need some more water, and that's going to help you with this presentation. It's like, oh, okay, thank you. Or maybe it's because you're stressed and you're worried about what they're going to do, and it's just saying, hey, just come back to your body. It's all the messages just like, hey, I'm loving you. The symptoms it's your body's way of loving you, even though you might not love them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. It's always going to love you. It's always looking out for you, as you said.
It always is. So, and it will tell you, and that's the beauty in somatic work. When we're working with, say you have got a headache or got a pain, we actually focus in on that. It's where do you feel it? draw your attention there and linger
Mm,
there. And
mm,
we talk about, let's give it shape. Does it have a color? Does it have a density? Does it have a texture? How big is it? Where is it in
mm,
proximity to you? We actually give it all our attention and all our focus. And what happens is it starts to change. It starts to tell us. You'll get a vision in your mind's eye and it starts to change. And I can watch as I'm doing the work, people's bodies change. The shoulders will drop. They'll breathe a bit better. They'll sit back into their chair a bit more. They'll,
mm,
their neck will start to loosen up. It's when we bring our attention to it. It's almost as if the body goes, oh, thank you for noticing. Thank you
mm,
so much. Okay, now I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to take you on a little journey and show you what I've been trying to tell you. And
mm,
that's part of the art of somatics, is slowing right down and noticing, giving it all your attention.
mm.
Yeah.
And doing it in that way that's a speed and an environment, and basically an environment that cultivates safety. Because otherwise it's like, well, your body's going to be like, no, I'm not going to show you anything.
I'm
I
not
don't feel
unraveling
safe to show
here.
you this. And it goes, I often think about it like, because when, particularly for me, I would shut down around uncomfortable emotions.
Yeah.
But I used to think that I was really, really in tune with my body, because my whole life, my two parents are healthcare practitioners. My grandma was a naturopath. We'd play guess the body part game when I was younger in the car. I'd watch Grey's Anatomy, The House. I could diagnose anyone just by looking at them, going like, okay, you've got a thyroid thing, you've got this, you've got this. I'm like, I'm so in tune with the body, but I was so disassociated from my own body. And it was really coming back to, okay, this is scary when you haven't been connected to your body or you haven't found that it's been safe. But the thing that helped me was going, okay, well, these sensations or these emotions, it's much like when there's a toddler. Say, for instance, you're at a birthday party and there's little kids running around and there's the adults. And one of the kids, they might have found a flower that they really love or fallen over outside and grazed their knee and they're crying. So they're coming to you with joy or they're coming to you with sadness or anger and things.
Yeah.
But when you're at a party and there's a kid that's feeling one of those things and they're looking up at everyone there and they're like, who am I going to go to? And they come to you as the adult, that means that they feel safe to express that emotion to you.
Yeah.
And how good do you feel as that adult at the party going like, oh, this is actually really nice that this child feels safe to come to me with this emotion, whatever emotion it is. And it's like, well, that's really nice. So when I started doing these things or started exploring the somatics and going, okay, I'm going to go into this a bit more, it's coming with that curiosity and going like, okay, I'm this adult now that I can feel this emotion. And when you have that, the emotion wants to come up because it's like, oh, I'm safe now with you, instead of going like, I don't want to go to this adult. They're going to lose their shit at me. I don't want to go to them. I want to go to this one. So it's like, well, your body's not going to come to you unless it feels safe. And that's when the emotions start to come up. When you start to feel, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's feeling safe now. Like, that's a great sign. It's awesome. It's amazing.
It's something that
Yeah.
can be a little inconvenient because as you work with people, quite often they can go through maybe a horrible relationship or, a quite traumatic event in their life, and they're good, they're strong, they're resilient, they get their way through it. And they might fall apart 12 months later. It's, when they finally get into their own apartment and they know that they're safe and they've got a good job and the money's now coming in and everything's all right. That's when they'll fall apart. And they're like, but my life's good now. I don't understand. And I think that's really hard to help someone through, because it's kind of like you've popped the lid off the champagne bottle and you're not putting it back in. And our bodies will sometimes choose to unravel. Just honor that. We've got to go with it. So
I'm laughing because that's literally what happened to me in the last 8 months. So I can attest it is really hard to try and help yourself and to get help from other people, because you're like, hang on a minute, like everything's actually okay. And then it's like, well, your body's now just going, okay, now it's so safe to do this. You've been sort of white knuckling it in one way or another in one area of your life. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I can express all of this stuff. I can breathe. Here you go. This is all the stuff that I wanted to tell you.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. I just wanted to end on a couple of more questions for you, Lara. What would you say your non-negotiables are when it comes to caring for your body?
Ooh, I've got to say good rest, and rest in whatever way that comes. I don't just mean sleep. Rest can be going for a walk. Rest can be swimming in the ocean. It just is that.
Can be watching maths.
It can be watching maths. It is
guilt-free.
That time, that time that you desire, that you want. I
Mm.
think we've got to, and that's because it's connection to self. It's all that stuff that we were saying earlier. The more that you can have connection to self and build that into your day, I think the better you are. One, the better you are just mentally and nervous system health wise, but the more aware you are of the warning signs. It's that
Mhm.
listening and noticing. So I think that's incredibly important. I
Mm.
will go on to say definitely the lifestyle. So that includes the food, the movement, the exposure to chemicals, environmental stuff. If you are living in a moldy house, if you are living, and I shouldn't speak, I'm in Sydney here under the flight path, I know that I am living in probably a chemical quagmire that I would prefer not to be. That rainforest is coming anytime soon. But that lifestyle that brings in environment and what we eat and what we do, I think is really important. The other thing that I will bring into it is relationships.
Mm.
Our relationships are so incredibly important. And for anyone that feels like they have been in a relationship that is maybe what we would call toxic these days or is unbalanced in the energy system that's in it, and that can be a romantic relationship, a friendship, it can be your boss or your colleague, it can be your family of origin. Those relationships, they affect our nervous system. We
Mm.
are all connected. We really are. And nervous systems talk to one another. They mirror one another. They set each other off. They bang into each other. So I think the relationships that we choose are really, really important. And some of the best self-care that you can do is choose to not be in those relationships. And that can be really tough. It really
Mm.
can. I've hear myself saying to people quite often, I say, look, what you're going to need to come to terms with is you're going to need to choose the grief over the everyday anxiety that you're experiencing now. Sometimes to go through a period of grief in the change of a relationship is more healing than trying to live in the anxiety and rise above it and keep getting dragged back down all the time. So
Mm.
relationships play a big part as well. In any consulting or anything I do, that's definitely a part of what we do along the way. And it's often the thing that comes up when we've talked about all the physical signs and all the, we check the house for mold or we checked what chemicals are coming in on your skincare and all that other kind of stuff. And there will eventually always be a point within the first 3 consultations where it will bubble up about my marriage is in trouble or my mum and I haven't spoken for a year or, this boss is driving me crazy with their micromanagement. So there will always be an assault to the nervous system somewhere if we aren't getting the healing that we want.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love what you said about the choose the grief over the everyday anxiety. And it's like making the decision.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, because it is that what's the right decision, which is the
Yeah.
thing that's going to give me the thing. And it's like, you just got to make one
Yeah.
and have the grief.
Yeah. And true self-care is not always
Mm.
pleasant. It's making
No.
really tough decisions that you don't
Mm.
even know if they're right. Sometimes you
Mhm.
do stuff and you walk away and you go, oh gosh, I hope I've made the right decision. But
Mm.
true self-care really is, it's not bubble baths and massages. It's making real decisions that go, my life will not be like this anymore. My
Mhm.
desire is something different, bigger, greater, wider, braver. That's my desire. And if I'm going
Mhm.
to get there, I need to make some really tough decisions and start aligning my energy.
And that's that having the self-worth and the belief that that desire is possible and going, okay, well, I can see other people have it
Yes.
and I deserve that. They're not any more special than I am. So it's possible and I deserve it.
Yep.
And that's what I want.
Yep.
I think
And
that's
you can have it. And I simplify it down to, be the person that bought the ticket. There's someone in Hawaii right now. There's someone in the Maldives in one of those gorgeous huts over the water. They're just the person that bought the ticket. Be brave enough to buy yourself a ticket to the life that you desire.
I love that. I've got goosebumps from that. I'm gonna have my miracle mist
Yep.
and say, be the person that bought the ticket.
Yep.
Oh, that feels good. Lara, thank you so much for coming on the What's My Body Telling Me podcast. I end these episodes
Yep.
with a final question. Now, you have 2 daughters, is that
I
correct?
do have 2 daughters. Yep.
Yes. What's one belief
Mhm.
about their body and life that you would want them to carry with them for the rest of their life?
Ooh, I want them to know to listen to it. We do a lot of listening to our bodies and how do we feel. We do a lot of noticing if we walk into a situation, into a party, into a gathering. What are we noticing? What are we feeling? What just happened? And I think particularly in this climate politically and everything else at the moment, I want them to know their own power. I want them to know that they can be heard. I want them to know that, if they feel it authentically, their voice is absolutely worthy and it's powerful and it can create change.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think you can be, I'm thinking, I love my mum, but maybe you could be my fairy godmother.
Don't ask my 13-year-old that. I don't think she'd agree at the moment. But
It's always the case. Lara, thank you so much for joining us on the What's My Body Telling Me podcast. It has been an absolute delight to listen to you and to learn from you and to get those little pockets of wisdom that always hit home. You just have a way of just summarizing something into 1 or 2 words, and it's just like, oh, I'm going to take that. So thank you so much.
thank you. It's been great fun. Been great to spend some time with you. Thanks for having me.
If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to think of the woman in your life who might need this too. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling exhausted, a sister searching for answers to chronic symptoms, or someone who just needs the reminder that feeling good in her body is her natural baseline. And if you haven't already, subscribing is the best way to spread this message and make sure you keep getting the answers and resources you need. Together, we're redefining how women connect with their bodies. And I'm so grateful to have you as part of this community. So, I invite you to get curious with me. If your body isn't the problem, it's the solution, what do you think your body's trying to tell you today? Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.